What's up, guys? It's John at National Sports Entertainment, and I just want to go into tonight's basketball games. Like I said, basically every college metric was yesterday, and there's one. I do like the Nebraska over that's coming up, and I do believe it's either Tulsa or Notre Dame plays tomorrow. I know there's one really crappy team coming up. I haven't been able to look at every single game, but I do like I think it's Nebraska, Penn State. I know I caught that one yesterday, and I remember that Nebraska is awful against the spread. I think they're today. Like I said, Sunday is not a lot. So here they are right here. Oh, it's Northwestern. And I'll go over Kyrie as well. It is funny because I was talking with somebody in my Discord, I was Hutch, and we were talking about the Kyrie prospect. And I did think Lakers made sense just because they were going to reunite everybody. But I went over with him how Dinwiddie specifically. So you can see Nebraska sucks against the spread too. What we're going to do with this one is we're going to double dip. We're going to take Nebraska to cover, and we're going to take Nebraska, Penn State to go over, okay? So the over will be a leg 2, and the cover will be a leg 1. The reason being they are slightly better against the spread than they are on the over. So even though 7 and 16 is not great, it's the over is where they're actually worse. So I like Penn State, or not Penn State. I like Nebraska to cover Penn State here. So we're going to take Penn State. We're going to wait. We could take it. Basically, you could take it anytime going forward because the closing line usually within an hour stays pretty close. So same with the over under. So yeah, I like the over here and I like the Nebraska cover. So we got 2 there, and then we got 5 NBA, and we'll play them all. So I didn't play the first game. I was asleep. Second one, I do like the Pacers. I think it's because a couple of reasons. I think they're going to keep Pacers, Bulls. There's not many teams in the East that are really competitive right now. So I think they're going to keep those teams competitive with each other for the 9, for the 10 seed. That's why I think the Raptors win as well. So for both those games, I like the Pacers to cover. I'll take them with the 4 points. That'll be a leg 1. And then for the Grizzlies, I'll take them to cover. And again, that'll be a leg 1 for the Raptors game. I'm sorry, I like the Raptors to cover the Grizzlies. So not the Grizzlies, but I like the Raptors to cover them. And yes, I'm taking Raptors plus 2. I know a lot of people would prefer the money line. I'm telling you, you can take it, but you'd be surprised how many 2 times 2 points, 2.5 points actually comes through. So again, leg 2s are the only leg 2 so far is Nebraska over. We're going to be playing the Nebraska to cover as a leg 1, Pacers to cover as a leg 1, Raptors to cover as a leg 1. I like the Knicks to cover as a leg 1. The reason I like the Knicks is because, same reason, I think they need them as a playoff team with a similar record to the Nets, to teams like that, where they're not 10 games behind the Bucks, the Sixers, and those teams. So I do like the Knicks to cover here. And for the Nuggets Wolves, I like the Wolves to cover. As I said, I think they need to get a couple of games above 500. It looks like Joker's out. I'm guessing that's why it's 7.5 points. And it says he's day-to-day. He's most likely out. And even if he's not, there's a reason they have it at 7.5. But yeah, I like the Wolves here to cover. And I like the Pels to cover. Pels is more of a narrative because, like I said, I don't think the Kings are going to finish like everybody assumes they are. I think they're going to slowly get flipped until they're maybe a play-in team. And you can see it's not that hard for them to get flipped. They're not many games ahead of other teams. So I'm going to make the Pels a leg 2, the Pels cover, because we have a leg 1 game with the Pacers. Let's say that's not going good. By 7 o'clock, I should know. And we have a couple that didn't hit yesterday. Speaking of, I'll go into them. Oh, this was the conversation I was talking about. So yeah, we actually went over the literal trade to the Nets for Dinwiddie himself. The reason being, there was a trade a couple years ago where they traded Dinwiddie, and he's kind of like one of those guys who just always seems to be a part of these giant trades. And the other problem was Dinwiddie just was not fitting. He was reminding me of Jalen Brunson on the Mavs too. Remember when they had Brunson and he honestly couldn't do anything. He was a great backup, so whenever he came in, he looked awesome. He's putting up 20 points a game, but at the same time, they knew they had to get him somewhere, so they got him to the Knicks, and that's why I like the Knicks this year. So then when he'll go back, it looks like they got a good trade. I mean, it was just a way for them to get rid of Kyrie. Like, there's no way the Mavs should have landed Kyrie for who they did, but like I said, I think it's just so, for tickets, you need more than one guy. Even though Luka's a great draw, people are going to the games thinking they have, we have no chance of winning with just one guy. Watch the money that falls on Dallas now. And like I said, I don't think it's their year, but just watch the money that goes into Dallas to win the finals now. And that's why they do this kind of stuff. It probably happened with the Niners with CMC. And we like the Niners for different reasons. Now, this is yesterday, and you can see we actually had a good day. We only missed the Wizards-Nets, was our only bad leg 2 loss. We did lose Notre Dame, but we got it back with the Lamar cover. Our other ones were leg 1s. And then we got some good ones. We got Loyola Chicago came through for us. The Mavs came through for us. The Pels came through for us. And then, like I said, the good thing is most of our losses were leg 1s. Not all of them, but most of them. So we are up to 91 sequences closed. And I go into this a lot, like every night in my Discord. Even if we're to lose a leg 3, right? We're not playing any today on purpose. I'm saving them for tomorrow. There's a much better schedule. And honestly, coming days in general. But if I was the leg 3, if Lamar were to have lost, we'll just say they hypothetically lost, right? That puts us at 84 units. So a 3-leg loss isn't fun. But I've tried telling people with the system, and I more just show than tell. You see how quickly 7 units can be made up, and you see how many wins we had after our last 3-leg loss, which was Tulsa covering Cincinnati. That was a couple days ago. And then you go before that, you'll see how many we have. So, again, we only need 7 to 8 wins, 7.5 if you're accounting for juice. Obviously, you can't get a half a win, but that's the number. 7.5 wins to account for a 3-legged loss. A lot of people have been asking me about that, so I've been wanting to go into that. That's why it's important. If we were to do it 4 or 5 legs, then we need 15, 30 wins to account for it, which is almost impossible. Not impossible, but it's a lot harder. So, yeah, nothing crazy tonight. Again, Pacers cover, Knicks cover, Raptors cover, Wolves cover, Pelicans cover. Those are the teams I like. They're all leg 1s. Again, and leg 2 is just going to be Nebraska covers Penn State. I'll make that a leg 2, so just plug that in for any leg 1 loss. And then I also like the Nebraska to cover that game in general. To go over that game in general. So Nebraska covers and they go over. And the going over, I'm making the leg 2. So just because that's the worst spread. If you want to make Nebraska covers a leg 2 and the over a leg 2, you can. I like them both. But personally, I think just playing the over leg 2 is the way to go. Like I said, I've closed so many of our open sequences. I don't want to run a bunch of leg 2s. We really don't even have any leg 3s for me to play. We have a very, very few. I went over that in my video too. Basically, and I'll go into it again, but it just shows how many sequences we've closed just by sticking to some boring mod metrics. I did notice McAfee was calling this game here. Look, they care so much about this game that you could just tell how much they care about it, right? I wonder why they're being so quiet about this year's Pro Bowl. It's like that's the one game where like we would expect it to be rigged, so I don't know why it's almost like they're hiding something. But we'll go on to the Super Bowl again. Like I said today, nothing crazy. We got 7 plays, on only one that I'm really playing a leg 2 as, and that's going to be the over on Nebraska. And the rest just NBA leg 1s and Nebraska covers. If you like Nebraska covers leg 2, I certainly wouldn't advise against it. I wouldn't leg 3 it, but a leg 2, it's not going to hurt. So just my advice there. And we'll be looking into the Mavs, see what they do now that they got Kyrie and then Luka. It's an interesting dynamic. And, obviously, again, it's going to be for ratings. It's going to be so people bet on Dallas. They'll probably go on a little bit of a flurry here. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with those guys. And same thing with Russ. He's going somewhere. I just can't imagine. Unless they just kind of run the same script again with the Lakers. Lose another season, finish 11th, right outside of that play-in hunt. And in year 3 they do something. But I don't know. I think we got 4 days till the deadline. We'll see if they do anything with him. It just makes sense to me that Russ goes to a team. maybe back to OKC, maybe a team like Washington, a contender that people would believe, oh man, this team could win if they get Russ. So it'd be curious. I'm curious to see if he does get moved and who for. With Kyrie no longer on the table, it might not be a priority, but we'll see if they do anything, because it would be interesting to see what they do with Russ, and then I think it would be pretty obvious what they do. I like same with the Mavs. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they're going to start pummeling these other teams once they get Kyrie. I'm guessing he'll be suiting up by Monday. I'm not sure how long it takes them. They say that to pass physicals and stuff. So it's showing him out for that game, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. But it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. And like I said, I think it's solely so people can bet on Dallas and be excited. But we'll have to see what happens. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.